Dude, this is such a clown show. Oh my God, this is such a spectacular clown show. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh my God, I cannot believe it. Incredible. All right, let's look at No Kings protest. Back to America.
Flags, chanting, sometimes a little bit more colorfully, but a very peaceful scene, a very party scene, honestly, at points, with music and others things going on here in Los Angeles. As people say, they're saying no kings here in the United States and really protesting everything they've seen play out here for the last week in Los Angeles. Jessica?
Right. Michael, thank you so much coming to us from Los Angeles. Let's go back here to New York City right now. Let's bring in Gloria Pazmino. Gloria, you've been with protesters in New York all afternoon. What is the vibe been like where you are?
Anyway, this is a No Kings protest.
Okay. Here we come. All right, I gotcha. Got me? Yep, I got you.
Amazing. I love this. These people are amazing. You will fit right in. Thank you. I agree. Deploy the Marines. It's time. It's time to deploy the Marines. Also, Fox News has dropped it. Everyone has dropped their coverage, basically, of everything else that's going on. It's time for Trump's DC military parade to kick off. It's supposed to start in 5 minutes, I think. I'll watch a little bit of this, and then afterwards, I'll head out to the protest. My town's counter protest was 4 church leaders, a MAGA Make America Godly Again flag, and most of the town actively flipping them off. Rural Texas. Oh, it got pushed back. Easy to pray for the wolves of the state. Need to encircle them like elephants do with their babies. The boomer generation was awful. World War II ended, and they didn't do anything, and now the world is in flames. Every generation after World War II has been lackluster.
Yes, but we haven't seen anything like that. They've had a great experience here in the city. Everyone they've talked to has been very kind, and of course, the U.S. Army is a nonpartisan organization. So today, June 14th, is the U.S. Army's birthday. That's why 7,000 of us are here.
Cope. Oh, what funny cope. About an hour until the parade started time in D.C., and there are plenty of prime viewing spots wide open, particularly towards the beginning of the route along Constitution Avenue. Oh, my God. No one is there. Not even the protest. Not even the protest. Oh, that's so funny. Oh no, when you throw a birthday party and the only people that attend are paid to be there. This is kind of awesome. This, I'm not gonna lie, this low key is the best possible thing that could have happened. Like maybe some like incredibly limited number of people and then like some obviously anti-Trump protesters, but like overall just limited involvement is hilarious. It's funnier. Like having no one show up is funnier than having even only counter protesters show up. Dude, they can't even march in sync. It's so bad. North Korea clears, not gonna lie. God, we're so ass. Fake news from the Piker Broadcasting Service is the biggest military parade in military history. Yeah, definitely. Stop the fake news. This is DC today. Ignore the season. It's real. This is what DC looks like right now. They're all, and I'm hearing my sources on the ground are saying that they're incredibly stoked. Oh my God, bro, this sucks so much. Oh, this sucks so much for Trump. Oh, that's awesome. This is exactly the kind of petty shit that he hates too. All around the country, there are millions of people on the streets from different walks of life, from different demographic backgrounds, marching against Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Donald Trump himself can't even get enough of his supporters to come watch his birthday party army parade. Oh, that's so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is so perfect. I'm sorry. I know this is like kind of libbed up, but this is exactly the type of that Donald Trump cares about. And this is hilarious. Update on the cross from 16 minutes ago. Nowhere near the 200,000 expected. Oh my God. Millions of people on the streets all around the nation out in protest against Trump. Meanwhile, no one is attending his birthday party. Dude, this is why I love protests. This is why I love like liberal protests as well. This right here, remember, this right here is a direct shot at the notion that like Republicans are super popular. They're all around, and that their movement is popular and everybody loves them. People think that this is the case because of what they see online, what they see on Twitter. And it ends up changing the way that they see the world. I promise you, I always say this. If you go on Twitter, you think Elon Musk is the most popular guy on the planet, right? Like, holy, so many glazers. I mean, there's even still plenty of haters of Elon on Twitter as well. But like, if your only assessment is conducted online, if your only assessment of the world is conducted by who you consume online, if you see the giant numbers that people like Jasmine Gold have in terms of audiences, and you look at Twitter and you see all of the half-botted, half-popular support for neo-Nazi sentiment, you will genuinely develop a false sense of what the world looks like. The irony is, these guys used to say, oh, we're the silent majority. The silent majority is the liberals. Liberalism is monoculture. The silent majority has been, especially with the increasingly unleashed right-wing sentiment, algorithm-boosted right-wing sentiment that you see everywhere, that's like botted into oblivion with fake likes and all this shit. You think that the actual majority population's attitude is like super pro Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the actual silent majority is the liberals and progressives and the combination movement that is anti-Trump. Oh my God, the parade has started.
Please welcome the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane.
It's so funny and it's so ass. No one cares.
Joining us, the Secretary of the Army. Please welcome the Honorable Daniel P. Driscoll. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Pete Hegseth. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, accompanied by the Second Lady of the United States, Usha Vance, and their 3 children. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump.
This shit is so sauceless. Look at how empty it is. He knows how empty that crowd is. He's sad. He's sad. You can tell he's sad. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Pack watch. R.I.P. Bozo. Millions of people on the streets of the United States protesting Trump all around the nation. Meanwhile, no one is attending his birthday party. This is proof, once again, that the repulsive far-right hug box that Twitter and online spaces have become is not representative of real-world support for MAGA and right-wing policies. Do not be deluded. Do not be discouraged. Become undeniable. Become unavoidable. You will rarely see crowd shots unless it's like Trump moving into the stage, and at which point you see that there's no one behind them. Boo. Republicans are gonna be like, this is DEI. This is this DEI singer. He looks like Why is he saluting? He's the commander-in-chief. Oh, she came back twice. That's crazy. She double tapped. She hit the double tap. Home of the brave double tap. Wow, very tight shots of the crowd. Very tight shots of the crowd.
Before we even had a country, we had an army.
They started as a small, unorganized group of shop owners and farmers, but they fought the most powerful army in the entire world to a standstill in Concord, Lexington, and Bunker Hill.
Then our Continental Congress chose George Washington as general of our Continental Army.
But it wasn't until 1 year later, on July 4th, 1776, that news arrived of the signing of our Declaration of Independence.
Now we had a new army and a new nation.
It's like probably the worst time to try to instill patriotic feelings in this country when there's so much discontent and anger, where people are like, why can't we go back to the glory days? Because like right now, you're talking about the glorious past, you know, Revolutionary War, taking out a monarch, like removing a monarch's grip of power. Meanwhile, now all the army does is just brutalize like brown 14-year-old children so that a bunch of rich assholes can make money stealing the natural resources of said country and failing to do so in the process anyway.
To get
it just
closer
sucks.
and closer to the rifle and cannon range. Now
What is going on right now?
Off our first cannon shot.
The British had two.
Oh, Newsom's revenge. It's not even. No. It's not. It's not the broadcast is. I'm not experiencing outages. Like the Reuters broadcast is having a hard time showcasing the parade. Here, let's look at Fox News. They got,
and took on the British fleet.
Washington decided to make his move. Our men began digging to get closer.
The only
and
attendees
closer
of the families of
Finally
soldiers
getting within rifle and cannon range.
Served in the Army at the time when George Washington was the president, and how for them they would have the opportunity, something this kid would have never had otherwise, to see what that looked like back in the day. And we see it as they progress through here. This is the start of the era of what would have been, what soldiers would have looked like and how they would have learned.
By the way,
we expect to see
straight up, Trump is so nasty with it because low-key, this is kind of cool. And this is exactly the type of that a zesty ass man would come up with. Like they actually hired a bunch of like professional costume designers, for the record, so that they could showcase the costume, like the uniforms of every single era. And I'm sorry, I like that. I will admit, I like that. I think it's cool. But that is something that a very zesty man with a penchant for art, who has an artistic vision, would come up with. Okay, this is where we're at, clearly.
Of the parade really taking off here. You see some Army soldiers carrying the colors of the United States and the Army.
Also, remember, parades always gay. It is Pride Month. It is Pride Month. Parades automatically gay. There is no way to make a parade straight, okay? It's always a queer experience. And therefore, this is technically a pride parade.
These are ceremonial uniforms in some cases. There are the camos of desert wartime. And you also get a sense of how generation by generation the Army has changed. Its mission, of course, is different in different parts of the world, hence the desert camos for certain combat that reflected that as a way of blending in. And then, of course, the dress uniforms. All of this quite stirring to see if you're there in person, and a real way to say we all appreciate the service of members. 7,000 soldiers are here.
Participating across the parade today. And I think what we're seeing, and I'm going to hope that the video is sort of playing in a order that we were anticipating. This is what you saw a moment ago, I believe, was the U.S. Army Band, Pershing's own, as it's come to be known, founded in 1922 and was something that was created under the orders of General John Pershing, who commanded U.S. Expeditionary Forces in World War I, because he felt like the United States needed a band, like he had seen in Europe, to celebrate the work of its soldiers.
And that tradition has been so powerful, and generals and presidents have used it to stir the emotions, to bring patriotic music to the forefront, to give soldiers a chance to be a part of important rituals that are a part of civilian life. All of that very important. There's a combination of things happening here today, too. Some of the images you will see are from independent news cameras, and some of them are from a production company related to America 250. You see that in the upper left-hand corner. So there is a certain movie-making quality to today, and then there's a news event quality to what is happening.
There's more
today.
people here than there. Oh, for sure.
We're taking advantage of both of those perspectives.
We're going to sort of listen in at different moments throughout this presentation this evening. So we'll sort of stop down here for a second and let you hear a little bit of what people on the parade route are hearing as these soldiers work their way past the reviewing stand. Listen for a few minutes here.
The 3rd Infantry Regiment is the oldest active duty unit in the U.S. Army. Established back in 1784, the unit was dubbed the Old Guard by Major General Winfield Scott during a victory parade in Mexico City after the Mexican War. It is the U.S. Army's official ceremonial unit and presidential escort, conducting year-round tactical training to ensure the highest standards and utmost discipline of its soldiers. The unit routinely represents the U.S. Army and our nation in official ceremonies, major sporting events, and their own, the U.S. Army's own Twilight Tattoo. The Old Guard also maintains 24-hour vigil of the tomb of the unknown soldier, while also conducting funeral services honoring our fallen heroes in Arlington National Cemetery.
Why is this
The regiment's 50
sauceless?
campaign streamer
I think other countries that don't have much in terms of military conquest spend a lot more of their limited efforts on putting together sick-ass parades. That's why our parades look kind of sauceless. Like, low-key, like, Chinese parades are way sicker than this. North Korean parades are way sicker than this. I would go so far as to say the Russian parade was kind of ass, too. I watched the Russian Victory Day parades. Like, some of them looked kind of shit, too. So I guess the more your military is actually put to use, the worse your parade looks.
These fife and drum corps that we've talked about a little bit here, and obviously they're wearing those Revolution-era uniforms as they do when they perform around the D.C. area and in other places as well. This is really the Army's way of paying tribute to those original soldiers, the 1st Regiment that is now one that is recognized as the 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. You just heard the announcer talking about here.
And these soldiers often participate in state visits. So when the White House and the president invites a leader, it's the highest level of diplomatic honor. And there's a big ceremony on the South Lawn. You always get the fife and drum corps as part of
making black Army soldiers dress up as
and the leader of the Army during the Revolution.
That's crazy. That's wild. The American military is also obviously very diverse, especially the Army is very diverse now. But it's just crazy to, you know, do that. Make a black man wear a powdered wig like that is not good. It's I think.
Myself. But it is so exciting to see things that go back and really remind us. And we will be living, as you said in the opening here, about how next year is the 250th anniversary of the nation. So we're sort of now building up to all of that. And this is dramatic. These are paratroopers.
The Army's Golden Knights, the parachute team that is world famous. In not great weather conditions today here in Washington.
Very challenging.
Still making this jump to really thrill a crowd. If you've been to an air show, you know how amazing it is to see some of these air performances and to see the Golden Knights parachute team jump in. These are our expert parachute jumpers, and they are soldiers, just to be clear.
They are soldiers. This is their duty.
These are all members of the Army, and this is what they do.
And they're putting on a show there, but that is spectacular. I was with the president earlier this week.
Wait, why do they have the Hezbollah colors, dude? What the bro?
Your face, because the skill that's involved there's real danger in that.
Absolutely.
And they do it, making it look effortless.
We are not focused on the jumpers anymore here, the skydivers anymore. Or actually, I think you can still see them on the screen a little bit here. Vaughn Hilliard on the ground. Vaughn, look up for me. Talk to me about what you're seeing there.
What the is this?
I'm looking up and watching them come down quickly here into the ellipse. This is impressive to watch here over the National Mall here in real time. You mentioned that, Kelly, over at Fort Bragg, when 600 paratroopers came down, this has been a moment here for this White House to effectively show off the current active forces that are still very much engaged. When we're talking about the U.S. military here today, you're talking about more than 1 million active National Guard and Reserve Army soldiers.
Oh, this is where the paratroopers are landing. There's not supposed to be people there.
Thousands of them are in the Middle East.
Sorry,
we're
we've
also
seen.
looking at the last time that this military parade took place was in 1991 after the Gulf War to honor and celebrate the troops that were returning here. And in many ways, when you're going up and down here, Constitution Avenue, a lot of these decades in the military interventions and in wars in which U.S. men and women had served in are very much intersecting. There's actually a new memorial that is going up, slated to open next year, right next to the Lincoln Memorial, to honor those that served in Desert Storm. And in many ways, I'm looking around the crowd here on the ground, and you're seeing a lot of young people, from teenagers to individuals in their 20s, that have lived through a new generation of war in the Middle East. More than 2 million U.S. men and women served in the Middle East, were deployed. And you look in the crowd, there's a great many of them who are here today, and this is what this moment is for the administration and why they wanted to have this event, to honor those U.S. Army men and women here who have served through generations past. And as you're watching these last of the paratroopers come down here, those in the stands, they are cheering them on, and they watching this. It's for folks to kind of have an idea. You have the White House, and then you've got there, over kind of where the camera appears to be coming from. That camera is near where the Washington Monument is at, and right where that viewing stage and where the president is at.
Bro.
So the president would actually be looking. That is where everybody is dropping.
Wow, the Reuters coverage is
in terms of security,
dog shit. No one is watching it
those
anymore.
That were attending this event and this parade were here safely and securely. There were a lot of question marks about whether this is going to take place today or not. Guys, there was a thunderstorm 24 hours ago here in the area, and the weather had the similar forecast. And I know that some of the plans have had to be called off, but the paratroopers was a big moment here, and something for everybody in or in Washington to watch with great pride as the U.S. Army, the Golden Knights, the last of them just came down here and finished their effort here on the evening.
What view they had, those soldiers who practice these drills and do these jumps, prepared to do it anywhere in the world, and as they were floating down to be able to see the White House and the ellipse and to know the president.
Iranian missiles over Iraq, another barrage coming soon. Obviously, we will move our attention away from this dog parade and back to more pressing matters in a moment. But it is pretty funny to see like how no motion the protests are, or how no motion the parade is, versus like how many people are participating in this protest.
If I can, something just kind of give you
Look
a
at this.
sense of some of what happened here today. And you know, everyone here is gathered, it seems, for one issue, and that is the immigration issue and ICE. And so many of the signs that people were walking with and carrying through the streets of Manhattan are here. They've left many of these signs, and it's so striking to see all these signs here in one place. And if you look all around here, you will see signs all across this park that many of the people who were marching have left
Unconfirmed
behind.
is Turkey finally doing something? Are you insane?
Families, young, and the number
Absolutely not.
The number one issue here today is
Turkish military bases in Syria deliberately interfering with Israeli planes heading to bomb targets in Iran.
Donald
Bull.
Trump all across this country, with how they have been detaining people, how they've been arresting people. That is the number one issue that we keep hearing from people today. So far, there have been no incidents here. Things tend to change, certainly as the evening goes on. There's another protest that's just now gathering at Foley Square, which is in Lower Manhattan, where I was a couple of days earlier this week, where there have been some there's been some flashpoints there between the police, because that is where the ICE offices are here in New York City. That is where the detention center, and that is where almost on a nightly basis.
Turks always going to invite themselves into everything. No, this is bullshit. I wish they were doing that. I wish they were interfering with Israeli flights that are making their way over to bomb Tehran. They would never do that. Turkey would never do that. At most, you'll hear it from fake news outlets and shit like that. Turkey is a NATO partner, dude. Get out of here. Turkey would never in a million years do something that is actually disruptive to Israel's interest in the region. Turkey's actions in Syria were literally in line. What is this?
I do want to point out for our viewers, we seem to be moving pretty quickly here through the eras of the U.S. Army.
Time flies, as they say.
It does, especially on Constitution Avenue here in Washington. We're now in the World War I era, looking at some of the vehicles that were used by the Army in that time period.
He looks sad. Bro looks sad.
Car, I believe is what you're looking at there, as we see some soldiers in period uniforms as well.
And as we say in Washington, a point of personal privilege. My
Two Israelis arrested on suspicion for spying for Iran. Wait, really?
And was honored with the Purple Heart there. So that one tugs at my heart to see those uniforms from that era.
And I believe these are members of the
Wait, they
42nd
got the
Infantry,
gay, they got gay stuff on the,
which was at the time.
What is this?
during
This
World
is
War I
literally a pride
composed
parade.
of-
Okay, abort. This is literally a pride parade, bro. They got the DEI band. They got some gay on their. Bro, what is happening? They got rainbow drums. This is literally what's going on. This is woke. The army is woke. Abort.
A couple of years ago,
yes.
Where one of the major battles involving U.S. soldiers happened, was able to look out over what is still untouched field.
And that is where my grandfather served, so that really touches me.
Yeah,
it was the Great War until we had a Second World War, and then they became enumerated. But important history. And it is true that when President Trump was in France, I was on that trip with him, as Douglas was referencing, when they honored the 100th anniversary of the end of the First World War. That pageantry, done as the French can do it, certainly inspired President Trump, and it has been a part of his desire to see this kind of day happen in the United States, even though it has not been our tradition, except as Douglas indicated, when a war concludes, having that kind of ticker tape moment. This is something different. And it is certainly taking us through history, and it's also challenging some of our current thoughts about the place of the military in American life.
Absolutely. I believe we have Lieutenant General Steph Twitty with us in this moment. He is an NBC News military analyst, a former deputy commander for U.S. European Command. He is retired after 36 years of service, multiple combat tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait. I could go on and on, General, about the work that you've done in the United States Army over the years, and the accolades and medals that you've been presented in that time. I do want to first give you, though, an opportunity as you watch what's happening here.
Bro, Libophonics literally yesterday was talking about how he can't attend the No Libs protest, the No Kings protest, and that was, of course, a lie. Of course he went to the San Francisco No Kings protest. There was no way that there was going to be a liberal protest with Libophonics not in attendance. Okay, I went, but I turned off airplane mode and GPS. What does that even mean? What, you think the government is going to come after you for going to the protest with your grandma? You turned on airplane mode? Yeah, the government's doing mass surveillance to target the 75-year-olds, the 75-year-old grandmothers. What is this? Can you please help decipher this person's politics? I have no idea what that is. Yeah, airplane mode does not stop the tracking, by the way.
After 9/11, we closed our installations, we closed our bases, our posts, and so forth. And we sort of lost that
let's watch
with the American people.
We can't even watch the Chinese protest. Let's watch a real protest. Parade. Let's watch a real ass parade, chat. You can hear a pin drop. Wow. Wow. Cinema. LMFAO, but if Americans did this, you'd all be calling them Nazis. When China does it, it's hilarious. First of all, I am pro-parade. I have said this over and over again. It's one of the things that, like, actually my leftist community gets mad at me about is my pro-parade, pro-military parade position. Also, ironically enough, it's actually liberals that say this is Nazi-like. But I guess they do say this is Nazi-like. And they say the same thing about Trump as well, to be fair. They're more consistent. I'm consistent as well, but in the opposite direction. I just wish that we had a little bit more marching discipline, you know?
So you're seeing
like these guys are just walking. Like they're not marching, they're just walking, bro. Like look at how organized the Chinese military is versus this. They're like, oh yeah, all right. They're schlubbing. They're not fully synced up.
We should mention that there's some controversy in Washington, D.C. about the weight of the tanks. So they have placed metal in various corners and intersections to try to protect the streets from the significant weight of those tanks. But when
they've also put sort of rubber on the tank.
Yes, they've added the rubber
tracks
to it. And it is quite something to see a tank rolling. And General Twitty, who, again, I have my great personal thanks for his time and care when I was embedded with the 3rd Infantry Division 20 years ago, he really speaks to the issue of this is also a moment that President Trump thinks could inspire future enlistment
like, look at
and
this.
desire to participate in the Army, because we are an all volunteer force. Conscription in the Vietnam era. And so it is a chance to say thank you. And as the general also said, many Americans don't have a chance to see in person. If you don't live near a base, if you're not in the capital city like this, you may not have much opportunity. And this is a day to take all of this in, to acknowledge their service, to be reminded of all the enduring ideals. And, you know, we're also setting it in the current moment as well.
Absolutely. This is yet another one of the Army bands. I can't see exactly which one it is. I know there are more than 80 Army bands in the United States Army. They have their own music college in Virginia Beach. And so many of those bands are going to be performing throughout this parade.
Come on, bro.
Today, let's listen in a little bit to see exactly where we are era-wise with the tanks that are rolling down the street here. And Kelly noted the fact, I mean, this is something we just don't see in this country. If you see a tank, it's in a museum or it's on a base and put in a position where it's more of an object that would be in a museum. Almost never do you see something like this on the street.
And these are Sherman tanks, and there are several varieties. And so if you hear me say Army vehicle, that's because I need to check my notes to be sure. What is this guy wearing? But that is a very formidable piece of military equipment. President Trump likes to say a lot that the United States has the best military equipment, and we are seeing examples of it through time, the different kinds of
Here, look at tank versus tank.
Different types of warfare where some of these different vehicles were best suited. And it is, in some ways, it's daunting to see. When I was on Constitution last evening and the tank rolled by, I mean, I'm not very tall, but boy, is it consequential in size and in weight, and you can hear it rumbling. And it is really exciting to see. And at times, those who have questions about this, who are concerned about the imagery of not wanting to look like the military has taken over civilian life, that's not the intention here, of course. This is more in the vein of the air shows and the patriotic celebrations and exposing the public to this part of military life.
And you see, we've been trying to keep up with the vehicles as they come by to be able to identify them for you.
This is the sickest.
The one in the foreground here is the high-speed tractor.
Will they show American ICBMs? Because I want to see that.
In the 1940s, and one that became used to move heavy machinery, heavy guns for the Army. Some of the other vehicles that we're seeing here would have been transport vehicles. They would have been involved in moving wounded soldiers in some cases. In other cases, they would have been vehicles designed to tow tanks that may have been damaged and unable to drive on the battlefield at different points in different conflicts. And many of these vehicles...
Someone in the chat said this is like when you're... when you're a generation, when you're left behind by a generation of civilization. Yeah, they didn't do the tech upgrades necessary, chat. they fell behind.
Intention is to accurately depict these, and it really is a fascinating look through history.
Shout out
you and I
PBS
both
75K
love history.
watching you on
tend to.
Piker
And
Broadcasting
this is a way
Service.
to really be
is
being able to
sponsored by
tap
you,
into
the
it, it
viewers.
almost feels a bit like time
It's
travel
by
with
you,
way
the
they
viewers,
have
for
been able to
you, the
create
viewers.
eras of
Your
this
subscriptions
parade,
maintain
to show people how
the Piker
military
Broadcasting
service has changed and
Service's
how the
editorial
instruments of war,
independence.
the uniforms
You
of
too
war
can support the
have
Piker
all
Broadcasting
evolved over time.
Service
And we saw
by subscribing for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you and for you, the viewers. Burgles! Thank you for the 100 gifted subs.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much for this opportunity. But I'll talk about the 1st Cavalry Division. The 1st Cavalry Division was established in 1921. And as you know, we are a historical organization. The patch comes from the 1st General and also his wife, Miss Dorsey. And Miss Dorsey identified a way when they said, make a patch. She said, we're going to make this patch big, and we're going to put the horses in which we ride in it. And we're going to make this patch big for big people to do big things. And that's what the 1st Cavalry Division has done since 1921. We continue to do these great things and push for our country and do great and wonderful things. Being the largest
Piker Broadcasting
division in the
Service
United States Army
is sponsored by
with
the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
soldiers. And currently, we have multiple formations who just returned from Europe and Korea. And also, we have formations preparing to leave and go out at this time back to Europe.
We spoke to some soldiers who were here earlier this week preparing for the events today, and they were excited to be doing this, to be able to bring their craft, their part of the Army to Washington, to a national audience in this way. Can you talk a little bit about what it means for you to be taking part in this parade on this particular anniversary as we see more, I believe, Army helicopters above head working their way towards you? What does this mean to you?
Aaron, this means so much to me to have this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to bring together with my brothers and sisters in arms from around the world and allow our small portion of soldiers to come here, visit our capital, and also represent the totality of the Army, which is a part of America. I mean, our soldiers are so happy to have this opportunity to be this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They're ecstatic. They're enjoying it. We have soldiers that come to the Capitol for the first time, and I'm telling you, we have come to the Capitol to visit and also understand that we are important. We are a part of our nation's history.
Let's see what Fox News is doing. Let's see how much glaze is happening on Fox News.
I know this is just one day, but this celebration is supposed to last the entire year. Do you think this can be a reset for the country?
I do think so, because remember that it's the...
No one cares, bro. What do you mean a reset for the country? Yeah, it's a massive celebration. How joyous, how large, how vast.
It's the kickoff of a whole year of celebrations. And look, I know from having been in Sydney, Australia, when the Olympics came, how the entire country gets buoyed, the economy gets good, everybody is just in a great mood. And we're going to see that with multiple celebrations over the next year. This is just the start. And I think the pride and patriotism in this country, as let's hope at the same time the economy comes good, there is going to be such a feeling of joy and kind of positivity and energy in this country for the next year. I'm sure of it. And, you know, this parade is being watched not just in America, but around the world. And it gives succor to our allies who know that they have the strength and might of the American mighty military behind them. But it also gives pause to our adversaries who are there doing wrong around the world. And
Dog, first of all, you're Australian. Secondly, that is literally the thing that these other countries do, smaller countries do, and we make fun of them for doing that. And now America's saying this. That's hilarious, dude. Oh my God. This is like, I'm not libbed up enough to be like, oh, this is like North Korea, but like low key, this is like North Korea, bro. Like straight up. Oh, we're showing the world our military prowess by what? Fucking marching to the
that
street?
We're seeing in the crowd because they want to get us a good sight. Security is tight, and we see the president saluting. He's standing up, sitting down. He's interacting with those soldiers as we're seeing different generations being honored.
전체 조선인민의 혁명적 명절 7.27 만세!
An embarrassing public flop while the foreign policy crises you claimed you were uniquely capable of solving worsen immeasurably. Will the United States ever have a non-Brandon president? Oh, 100 P. This is straight up. This is an incredible take from Felix. We are so Brandonized. This is the most Brandonification, the Brandonized president.
That this is happening under President Trump's watch. And then the other thing that comes to mind, just real quick, is unity.
Wait,
I
shut the
think,
fuck up.
we live in a dangerous world. The military is here to keep us safe, to keep our country safe, and at the same time, bringing that.
Shut up. Special thanks to our sponsor, Coinbase.
Special thanks to our sponsor, Coinbase.
No. Brother, are you kidding me? Brother, we are so cooked. It's over. Pack it up. Country's done. Country's done, dude. The country is done. It's over. Coinbase, sponsor of the Valorant Championship and also the U.S. military parade.
And this is not pointless. This is money that's
This is
well
not
spent,
pointless.
so that we can
This is not
celebrate
pointless.
the Army, what it means to the United States, what they do every day to protect everyday
Yeah, this is really good. We get to have our boys
I
out.
don't have any concerns with the price tag here.
Chad Wolf, thank you so much. We'll be chatting with you soon. Well,
Thanks,
guys,
guys.
6,600 soldiers, 250 years, one unforgettable march through American history. All that and more when we return.
Dude, this is such a fucking clown show. Oh my God, this is such a spectacular clown show. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh my God. I cannot fucking believe it. Incredible. Incredible clown show. Wow. Coinbase sponsored Ludwig and also the U.S. military parade.
And so there were these bomber planes, the helicopters that we've seen today. They were part of the Army Air Forces and were flown by the Army and to some degree still function today inside the Army, although we have an Air Force with the fighter jets. The Navy has its fighter jets as well.
And just as we've evolved to a Space Force, taking some of the capabilities of the Air Force, it just sort of leapfrogs forward and expands to all the branches. Again, today's a celebration of Army. As you noted, the other branches are
Uniformed troops pushing
much
Dana
younger.
White's
I'm sure
energy.
that's a source of
A
competition.
soldier
at
in uniform
times.
is handing out free cans of Form
this is a
Energy, an
chance to
American
celebrate
250
soldiers,
sponsor,
and so,
co-owned by
all
Dana
of
White.
them,
A rep
whether
from the
they
company was taking a
fly,
selfie with a
whether
soldier
they,
handing the products out.
drive, whether they're in the trenches, so to speak, are all soldiers. And boy, that is quite a scene to be able to
We're
see
so
the
cooked.
maneuvers down.
This is the most cooked country. We're done. We've literally, dude. Okay. I'm not kidding when I say this. This is like USSR dissolution levels of cooked. This is so humiliating. This is like every part of the existing federal government is basically being used as a vehicle for Donald Trump and his allies to make money. We are basically picking apart the scraps. This is like ripping copper wire off of the bones of the remaining federal apparatus. Wow. Amazing. This is incredible. This is incredible. This is alarming. The U.S. future looks like Russia's, in my opinion, a bunch of oligarchs just doing whatever they want as long as they're in the good graces of the administration.